Hello, everybody. Welcome. We have a very special roundtable today. It is our first quarterly construction update. Here at F Street, we do a lot of real estate development. There's a lot of construction projects going on. Right now, we realize we have 4 projects that are currently under construction, all at the same time, all multifamily projects. And we wanted to provide an update on kind of where each of these projects are at and different things that we're doing internally here at F Street to ensure that these projects are delivered on time, on budget, and just provide, for multifamily specifically, providing people great places to live. So we have brought on EJ here. I want everybody to meet EJ. EJ, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Brian. Hello, everyone. I'm EJ Herr. I'm the Director of Project Delivery with F Street. So I'm managing the day-to-day operations and implementation of our projects throughout the Wisconsin area currently.
And so EJ does a lot before we break ground on projects, and then a lot of work happens once the projects are going. He helps manage and coordinate weekly OAC meetings. OAC meetings are owner, architect, and contractor meetings. These ensure that all the parties are communicating and just ensuring that, like I said before, on time and on budget delivery of our projects. So we're going to jump into it. So the 4 projects that we have going on right now are the Summit Apartments, the Village 43 Apartments in Brown Deer, Wisconsin, the Emery Apartments in West Bend, and the Ivy Townhomes also in Oak Creek at our Lakeshore Commons development. So we have a lot of different projects, and we're going to just jump right into them. So starting with Summit, if you've been following F Street, if you're in our ecosystem and attended any of these webinars before, I'm sure you're familiar with Lakeshore Commons. Lakeshore Commons is right on Lake Michigan. It's in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. Oak Creek has been a great partner to F Street, and we have been developing on this site for about 4 years now, and we're going to continue to develop until you see a lot more housing units than you do right now. So where you see that it says Summit, that is where the Summit Apartments are going to go. It is the first of 2 phases. It's going to be 74 units, and we're very excited about this project. So the Summit Apartments, they're just about to break ground right now. We completed the capital raise, we closed on the construction loan, and we're very excited about this project. So EJ, I just wanted to ask you, when we complete the capital raise and we begin the construction process, obviously they're going to put up a fence around the site, they're going to put the trailer on the site. What other things are kind of the first steps to happen as a part of the construction process?
Sure. So thanks for that, Brian. So there's a number of things that have to happen from a kind of, we'll say, an approval perspective too, so that it goes to the state, the city, the local municipality. We have to work with our utility providers. Like in this case, it's We Energies, which provides gas and electric services. So we have to get all of those things coordinated and lined up so that when we do get to the point where like you said, we're on site, we're commencing construction activities, that everybody knows where we're going and how we're going to get there. So excavation begins typically with underground utilities getting put in place, like I said, and then we start with the actual structural components, so the foundations and footings and that to that end.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have a lot more updates in the coming months. Summit Apartments are supposed to take about 12 months to complete. We're off to a great start with Stevens Construction Corp, who is our construction partner on this project. So right now you see renderings on the presentation, and soon you're going to see pictures of dirt and then foundations, and then also as the building begins to go vertical. Now we have some real construction photos. So this is our Village 43 project, also known as F Street BD2. It's our second project in Brown Deer, Wisconsin. It's a garden-style apartment community. So here, this is our site plan on the right side of the screen, and then the photo is a construction photo taken about 2 weeks ago. And they're the same orientation. So where you're looking at it, you can kind of picture where each building's going to go. So it's a little different than a traditional apartment building where it'll be, one building with a common corridor and, an elevator and a front lobby. Each of these units are going to have a private walk-up. So it's a little bit, different style of apartments than what you will see down at Summit. This project, we broke ground 2 months ago. We broke ground at the beginning of September. These are some very updated photos thanks to EJ here. So EJ, we're 2 months in. Greenfire Construction has been a great partner on this project. What are some of the big milestones that we've seen so far at Village 43?
Yeah, so to date, we have a lot of the underground utilities already going in place as far as water and sewer goes. As you can see in the photos here that Brian referred to, we've got the clubhouse actually going up. So the way we've sequenced the work here, the clubhouse will be one of the first buildings to be completed, and that way we can get our project manager, our property management and our leasing agents on site. So as the apartment buildings start to emerge and come out of the ground, they're able to start the pre-leasing process, and they can start touring people around to get them excited about the what's coming. So
yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons we like the garden style apartments is that as each building completes, there's going to be 8 residential buildings. As each building completes, and we obtain a certificate of occupancy, we're able to start leasing those up. So as EJ mentioned, the clubhouse will be first. The leasing office is in the clubhouse, and they'll be able to start, hosting tenants or prospective tenants and getting them in so this project can start earning some rental income. And EJ, here in Wisconsin, winter's coming up. How does the construction team prepare for winter? What needs to happen before the ground freeze, starts snowing? What all needs to happen to, winterize this construction project?
Sure. So, as you said, I mean, we don't stop for winter. We work with it and work around it. We've been pretty fortunate so far this fall to have very mild weather. So they've been making great headway as far as trying to get concrete, something that obviously is temperature dependent. So trying to get everything as much as we can, I should say, done before we get any frost in the ground here. But I mean, in general, really, they have means and methods that allow them to work throughout the year, no matter what the conditions are. It might slow us down a little bit from time to time, because of the extreme conditions. But for the most part, they're set up. They're ready to go. They know what to do when it comes to working in winter conditions here in this part of the country. So
winter is no surprise here in
No.
Wisconsin. It's a constant every year. All right, so let's move on to the Emery. So the Emery Apartments is a similar style, apartment community. It's in West Bend, Wisconsin, a little further north than Brown Deer. This is also going to be garden style. This one is a few months ahead of where the Village 43 apartments are. So as you can see the site plan here, some photos. You start seeing the drywall going up inside. A lot of framing. Some of the buildings have siding and windows, and are going to have doors and garage doors pretty soon, and they're starting to really take form. So EJ, with construction in West Bend and just kind of these garden style apartment projects as a whole, I talked about why we like them, because we can start getting renters moved in sooner rather than later and start earning that income. But this construction process, we have different buildings on different timelines. How do we manage that internally here to just ensure a smooth construction process?
Yeah, so we sit down, from the very beginning when we put the team together with regard to our design partners and our construction partners, and we come up with a plan as far as how we're going to sequence the construction of the buildings, such as you mentioned, so they can be occupied while construction of the subsequent buildings are still underway. So that's also a conversation that we have very early on with the municipality. So the building inspectors, the engineering department, and everyone out has to give approvals as it relates to getting the occupancy permit for the building, as well as the fire department. So emergency services. So everybody's on the same page with what's going to be there, what's not going to be there, how they can access things, and ensuring, obviously, first and foremost, everyone's a safe place and environment for everybody there to be occupying.
And when are we expected to have some of these buildings start to deliver in West Bend? As we said, you can really start seeing the buildings taking form. I guess, how far are we away from those first renters moving in West Bend?
Yeah, so again, this project, not dissimilar to the Village 43 project in Brown Deer, we have the clubhouse coming online first. That should be ready to go probably by early February. And then the first apartment building we will have ready to go and have occupancy by March. So That's the target right now, and we're on track to achieve that result.
Great. And if you know anybody looking for an apartment around March in West Bend, Wisconsin, you can look into the Emory Apartments. They're going to be a great community, and we're really looking forward to this project continuing to deliver in the coming months. Moving on, so we started at Lakeshore Commons. We're gonna move back to Lakeshore Commons for our fourth construction project. So if you thought West Bend was starting to take form, these are really taking form. These Ivy townhomes. It's 28 townhome units at our Lakeshore Commons project. It's on the other side of the project from where the Summit Apartments were, where we started this presentation today. So you can see each unit has a garage, and they're just about fully complete. And so I wanted to talk with EJ today about how does a project go from almost complete to move-in ready, where tenants are able to move in?
Yeah, so there's basically a couple of phases that happen towards the tail end of a project here. Substantial completion is one where our construction partners have basically reached a point where they've got all the various parts and pieces and components of the building in place. We go through a process with ourselves, with our design partners, our architects, which we call a punch list. So that's where we're going kind of through as a QA, QC check to ensure that everything actually is in place as it should be, as it was designed to be, as it was specified. And then that's when, at that point, where we bring in the local authorities having jurisdiction, that being, in this case, the building inspectors. They'll do all the utilities, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then they'll do the overall building inspection. That's the point at which, when all those things are satisfied, that you get your certificate of occupancy, and that's when it's ready for folks to start their actual move-ins.
Great. And I know we have a certificate of occupancies, and we've began leasing 2 of the 4 buildings down at the Ivy townhomes. What else needs to be completed in the other 2 buildings to obtain those certificate of occupancies to get those tenants in, so that this project can start earning some income?
Yeah, so I mean, we are probably within a couple of days of having those certificates. So all of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing inspections have been completed. It's now just a matter of getting the building inspector over there, which they're scheduled to be in the next day or two, to give it an overview, overlook, and then once they've done that, it goes through basically a variety of departments at City Hall, like I mentioned, some of them earlier, that they have to then review and approve. And once everybody's on board and has put their stamp on it, so to speak, then that's when that certificate gets issued. That's when we can actually formally allow people to physically be moving into the buildings.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're very excited about the Ivy townhomes, our newest addition to Lakeshore Commons. We'll have the Summit Apartments coming online there in about a year from now. We continue to build in Oak Creek along Lake Michigan. It's been a great site for F Street as a company, and we hope to keep developing down there for years to come. Just a general kind of portfolio overview slide of F Street. So Tannery Falls was a successful development project. The Green Link Residences, another project. Coast at Lakeshore Commons is opened in December last year and is now fully leased. So a lot of great construction projects, and this is something that wouldn't be possible without EJ and a lot of the due diligence he's doing and the coordination with as you heard him speak about, the city inspectors, city, county, state, working with the construction team, working with the architecture team. There's a lot that goes into, taking a patch of dirt and turning it into, whether it's an apartment community or an industrial building, developing real estate and the construction process specifically. There's a lot that goes into it, and, having someone like EJ here to, help guide us through the process and ensure that these projects are getting completed on time and on budget, and following the business plan that we set out to accomplish for our investors is something that's incredibly important to all of us here at F Street. So we did want to open this up. I know we went over a lot today. If you have any questions, feel free to toss them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them, and we'll be on here for the next few minutes to answer any questions. Great question. The first question we had was, what are the most frequent and common challenges that we have in multifamily construction?
Yeah, I think that's that's actually has quite a few different facets to it. I mean, I think, you know, the site that you're working on is probably going to be the first thing that you have to really have a good understanding of and be able to overcome any obstacles that might be there, whether they're things that are apparent and obvious to you that are, you know, above the ground and that you can see, or whether they're things that are within the ground or under the ground itself. So I think, you know, that, and then it's probably timing of when you start your design process versus when you're able to actually commence construction. We talked earlier about how the different seasons, we're moving into the winter season here in Wisconsin. So it's about when you're going to get started on it, you know, is going to dictate and determine kind of how quickly you can be done as well. So, I mean, those are just a couple things, but those are, I would say, the primary things that probably I would see as, you know, challenges as it comes to the multifamily apartment building process or construction.
Great.
Yeah, so we, I mean,
So,
oh, sorry.
So the question was, how do we deal with change orders during the construction process, and how does that impact the bottom line for investors?
Yeah, so I mean, we do have contingency that we set aside that are for things that are unexpected, are unknowns that, you know, we couldn't anticipate. They kind of, some of those tie back to what I was referring to earlier when you were with the previous question. Some of those challenges could result in a change order in some cases. So yeah, I think that between that and then, you know, oftentimes too, our construction partners will be carrying a contingency as well. That'll help. So we're able to cover that. We try our best to anticipate it. We, you know, have lessons that we learn and leverage from every project that we apply, you know, to subsequent projects. So that's how we'd be able to manage through a change order process like that.
And our development team, we work with EJ, with the construction teams, to make sure that we have enough hard cost contingency, which is going to cover, you know, specifically construction related hard cost, you know, overruns. That's built into our development model. We also have soft cost contingencies, which is, you know, more for kind of third party due diligence cost overruns. And then, as EJ mentioned, a lot of times the contractors and the construction companies also have a contingency. And these are things that are standard. And as EJ said, you know, with each project, we're refining our process and just making sure that we're accurately, you know, putting out, you know, because cost overruns happen, change orders happen. And, you know, if we're able to plan for it in advance, we're able to kind of, you know, dodge some of that risk that is just inherent.
Yeah, I'll just add too real quickly that, you know, obviously in my role, my position, I'm here to ensure that any requests that come for a change order from our construction partners is legitimate, is, you know, and is something that, you know, we obviously look at, we analyze, and then we approve or perhaps in some cases maybe dispute. But we try to pick, you know, the best possible partners to begin with. So typically those are not problems that we incur throughout the process. So, you know, we have mutual trust and respect between ourselves and all of our construction and design partners.
Yeah, so the question was, is there a demographic difference for people looking for townhomes versus some of the, you know, maybe garden style versus traditional apartments? The answer is yes. It's hard to put a thumb exactly on what those demographic differences are going to be. A lot of the apartment projects, they have a, you know, so like the Summit Apartments that we talked about first today, that has a high concentration of studios and one bedrooms. The townhomes are all 2 or 3 bedroom projects. So I think naturally you're going to see maybe more young families going into the townhomes, and, you know, maybe more singles or young couples going into the apartment complexes. And it's one thing that we do working with our property management team, is making sure that we're getting, you know, good renters that are going to, you know, treat the building well, pay their rent on time into all of our buildings. And that starts before these buildings deliver in the pre-leasing process, and then ongoing through the building life. Yep. So the question, a few questions there. The first one was, right now we have 4 projects going all at the same time. And now obviously the Ivy townhomes are almost complete, so that number will soon retract to 3. But how many do we generally have going on here at F Street?
Yeah, I would say there probably isn't a typical number at all. It's based on, you know, the opportunities that we have before us and where we're at in the process of, you know, going whether we're building, the pro forma and the due diligence on, the financial side of things versus moving into design and construction phase. So, we're always at various states in those processes, and, at this point in time, it just so happens that these four have kind of come to this point at the same time. That's why we've got what we have right now.
Yep. So the question was, can you speak a little bit to kind of overall investment structure with preferred return, expected IRR, hold periods, all of that? It's specific to each deal. For IRR, especially on these real estate construction projects and developments, we target high teens to low 20s IRR. If it's a high 20s, that's great, but generally it's going to be in that high teens to low 20s. For hold periods, we like to develop assets that we are going to want to hold in cash flow for a long time, assets that are going to be profitable for our investors. But when you model it on the front end and share that investment with prospective investors, you have to model a certain hold period. Generally, we are going to model it out with a 5 to 7 year hold period with the exit at the end of that. But it's deal specific, and we share each of those details in all the investment packets for each deal specifically. That's a great question. So at Oak Creek, Lake Vista, Lakeshore Commons, are there any benefits of being close to the lake? And where is the closest shopping center? So EJ, you want to talk to the Lakeshore Commons? You spend a lot of time down there, a lot of time on site. What are kind of the benefits of being in that area and being close to Lake Michigan?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it really is truly a very unique location and site. So the Lakeshore Commons itself is bookended by, on the one end, it's Lake Vista Park, which is the city of Oak Creek Park, and then on the other, it's Bender Park, which is a Milwaukee County Park. So both offers slightly different opportunities for residents. So in Bender Park, you actually have access via like a boat launch and a beach area to the lake itself. Lake Vista Park is focused more on the bluff overlooking the lake that has pathways that lead down to the lakefront or the shoreline itself, with a variety of park pavilions, playground areas, walking paths. So I would say that anyone that's enjoys being immersed in nature, there's tremendous opportunities there for them to utilize that. As far as thinking about amenities from a standpoint of like retail, just a few minutes down the road, there's Drexel Town Square, which is another wonderful development in the city of Oak Creek that houses everything you could ever need from a standpoint of food, beverage, grocery, restaurants, all that sort of thing available to you. So it's actually very convenient for a variety of reasons given its location.
Are there any benefits to having a kind of a big site such as the Oak Creek, Lake Vista, Lakeshore Commons versus kind of an individual site, one project, and then that site is full? I know EJ has spent a lot of time down at Lakeshore Commons. He knows that property extremely well. EJ, can you speak to some of the benefits of kind of the knowledge that you have going into future projects at Oak Creek? Versus maybe the first few projects we did down there?
Sure. So I think there's benefits from the standpoint in like speaking specifically to Oak Creek and Lakeshore Commons, where there's a bit more space for everybody to work because of the size of the site. But there's also opportunities to be able to utilize our construction partners on multiple projects, and we can leverage if they're running concurrently. That'll help to reduce the overall cost from a general conditions perspective. So there's efficiencies that can be gained there, as well as with the trade partners, so mechanical, electric, plumbing contractors. So what we try to do is we try to bundle these up so that we can gain efficiencies financially that way, better returns as a result. I would say too, just from a standpoint of, like I say, access some of the projects we've reviewed with you today. Some of them are quite dense. And so, as you're working your way through there, space becomes a little bit of a premium. And so, yeah, from that perspective, one site versus another, there can be benefits, pros, cons, so to speak.
Thank you, everybody, for your time today. It was great to share some of our construction updates with you and answer, all the questions you have. We do have a pipeline of future deals coming. We have another, it's actually the second half of the Summit Apartments in Oak Creek. It's called F Street OCLV MF3. That is expected to break ground. We're planning for tax day 2025, so April 15th. You're going to see a lot of details coming out about that. If there's any interest in that, you can reach out to myself or anyone else on the F Street team, and we can get you, situated with that investment. And we're also actively looking for industrial acquisition opportunities. So you'll see a lot more of those coming out. And as always, if there's any questions, you can reach out to myself, EJ, or anybody else on the F Street team.